On the 26th of November, 1930 in Canada, the Meriden Daily Journal newspaper published a news on the front page. The title of the news was Village of the Dead. This news spread fear all over Canada, because in North Canada, a whole tribe had disappeared without a trace, overnight. Viewers, in the far east of North Canada, this is the Anjikuni Lake. On the banks of the lake, the Eskimo tribe lived. There was about 100 to 150 people lived in this tribe. They used to catch fish and live on this lake. This is the area of North Canada, where in the area of millions of square kilometers, only a few 1,000s people lived. The reason is the harsh weather here. In the Anjikuni Lake, apart from the fish, some other animals are also hunted in the nearby area, and many hunters come here for hunting. On November 1930, this was the coldest day. A hunter named Joe LaBelle came to this area for hunting. He got so busy in hunting that he didn't even know when it got dark. He had an idea in his mind that he would spend the night in the Eskimo tribe. The people of this tribe were very famous to welcome people from outside. So Joe LaBelle tied his stuff and started walking towards the Eskimo. It was a moonlight night, but it was completely silent. Neither was anyone visible, nor was anyone's voice. He was only able to hear the sound of his footsteps. Although Joe had done this before, but today it was something abnormal. Normally, whenever he would get close to the settlement, the dogs would bark, which were also kept by the people of the settlement. But today, even when he got close to the settlement, he was only quiet and silent. Feeling all this, Joe increased the pace of his steps. He felt that maybe the villagers were sleeping or they had gone somewhere. Now he could see the tents of the settlement from a distance of which smoke was also visible. But he couldn't hear anyone's voice, even when he got close. Finally, when Joe LaBelle entered the settlement, he was amazed to see that there was no one available here nor any animal. But what was surprising for Joe was that some houses looked smoky, as if someone was inside them. He randomly went into a tent, but there was no one there, and the same was the case with all the tents. Maybe Joe would have left from there seeing all this. But there was one thing that put him in even more trouble. In some houses, the cooking pot were on top of the stove, but the food was burnt in them. That is, someone had kept the food for the night, but they couldn't eat it. Even the sewing clothes that the women of the settlement sewed were there, and the thread was also put in the needle. It seemed that the people of the settlement had suddenly left from here. But where did they go? Joe LaBelle started searching the entire settlement. He saw the dogs that the villagers had raised had a rope tied around their neck. But the dogs were starving to death. Although there was food in front of the dogs, but there was no one to feed them. At one point, he saw a grave being dug. Looking at this grave, it seemed that it would not have taken much time to dig it. Looking at all this, Joe LaBelle's trouble and fear had increased. He was very scared to see all this alone at night. When was Eskimo people go somewhere, they definitely keep their dogs with them. But looking at all this, it seemed that something strange had happened here. There has been such a disaster that has forced people to go somewhere suddenly. So helpless that they left their dogs, clothes, food, and the burning fire. Joe couldn't stand seeing all this and soon reached the nearby telegraph office. From there, he contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police camps and told them what he saw. When the police reached the village, Joe LaBelle's story proved to be true. The police suspected that someone had attacked here and killed all the people in the village. But if this had happened, there would have been blood stains in the village. If there was no blood, then the ice caps would have been scattered due to the strike. The police immediately started a search operation to find the villagers. In this search operation, a very unique thing was seen that perhaps Joe had not noticed. The whole village was covered with snow, but there were no footprints on that snow. There were only the footprints of one person, and they were Joe LaBelle's own. That is, if no one else came to this village except Joe and no one left, then where did the villagers go? Snow had fallen on the lake, and the villagers' boats were standing on the ground. Because in this season, fish are not hunted. That's why the boats were pulled and parked to the ground. If the villagers had gone somewhere by swimming in the lake, or someone had killed them and thrown them into the lake, then the snow layer on the lake would have broken or scattered from somewhere. The police also found out in the investigation that these people had disappeared 8 days before Joe came here. Because the death of dogs is not due to 1 to 2 days to being hungry. And the smoke coming out of the houses was a sign that they had not gone for a long time. Because it was the smoky that keeps coming out even after the wood is extinguished. There were a lot of questions in front of the police, but not a single answer. After many months of search operation, the police finally closed this case with an unsolved stamp, and along with time, people also forgot it. After 50 years, in 1984, Roger Bohr and Nigel Blundell, the writers, wrote an article and tried to connect this whole matter with aliens. They told in their article that when they went to explore the area near Anjikuni Lake, they encountered a hunter and his 2 sons there. They said that they have often seen some flying objects on the lake whose shape is different, and they were flying towards the same settlement where Eskimo tribe lived. This story was based on the fact that maybe the aliens landed that night, and they took all the people in the settlement with them. Both the writers didn't have any solid evidence of the presence of aliens and their attack, so most people did not believe it and rejected this theory. After this, many people started making different stories about the disappearance of the Eskimo tribe, but the fact is that this incident is going to be 100 years old, but no one has the answer to this question yet. After all, where did the people of the Anjikuni Lake go? Without any signs. The disappearance of the Eskimo tribe has been a mystery to this day. I hope you will also like and share this video of Unique Point TV. Thank you very much for your loving comments, and see you in the next great video.